Welcome back to another episode of Not Another Moto Pod, episode 13 here from Seattle, round 11 of the 2025 Supercross season. Third race I've attended this year, hopefully the last race I attend this year, according to my pocketbook. Another great night of racing, a really good track, a really cool venue. Got lucky with some weather, made for some really, really fun racing. Put in a lot of lappers. A lot of things that kind of shook things up this week. We got some new winners. We got some old winners. We had a really, really fun, really interesting event here at round 11. So let's get into it. Starting with the 250 class, as usual. Finally, Cole Davies gets his win. We kind of saw it coming in the heat race. He had a rough qualifying. Said in a lot of interviews that he changed stuff through every qualifying event, through every uh, time on the track on the night. He said he changed before the heat race. He changed after the heat race, even after he won the heat race, straight up against Deegan and Marchbanks. Cole Davies, what a night for him. Just got out front, rode his race, rode really well, and looked completely in control the entire night. He was blitzing the whoops the entire time. I had a great view of it in the stadium. It was really something to see. Really, when watching everybody else, you kind of do this jump line that looked really slow. And so Davies had a good night. He got hung up with some lappers at some point late in the race, and it looked like Juju and Marchbanks in second and third might catch him. But once he finally got around and the lappers got to them, he kind of built his lead back and looked really good on the night. Had a buddy with me at the race asked me before the race. He said, "Is Deegan winning this thing?" And I said either Deegan or Davies after that heat race. So really cool to see that happen. Really excited to see what the future holds for Cole Davies. Obviously going to be one of the guys very, very, very soon, if not now. He really, really looks composed, which is ridiculous as a 17-year-old rookie. Second place, Garrett Marchbanks. Really a great night for Garrett Marchbanks. He looked really good all night. Really interested to see what he does in these next coming weeks. See what he does at the showdown. We know Marchbanks has speed. He's won races in this class before, but obviously has had his struggles this year. Has been injured a bit. Perhaps a bit more healthy now later in the season. He fought with Juju the entire race. Didn't let Juju get away when Juju was in front. Passed Juju a few times, made mistakes, got passed back, and just rode his race in second place. So a really good ride from Garrett Marchbanks. Really what we kind of expected to see earlier in the season. Third place, Deegan. Hayden went down early in the heat race and in the main event. Self-conflicted mistakes. I'm not really sure what was going on there. He said he pushed too hard on the first lap. He probably could have fought with Cole for the win for this thing if he doesn't go down on the first lap so early. But he did a really good job at making up time, as we've known him to do. A really good ride from Deegan from the back. He got into fourth place after a really good battle with Joe Shimoda for a while. And there was a big gap to Marchbanks and Juju. I did not think he was going to get there. He did start to close, and then he made his own mistake. I think he jumped onto a tough block and lost a lot of time. And at that point, it was like an 8-second gap. And I'm thinking there's no way he gets to Juju. And what do you know? Next thing I look up, he's on Juju's tail. He's making a great block pass on Juju. He really took it easy. He really could have taken Juju down if he wanted to. He teed him up pretty good, but it was a slow impact. You know, again, I think he really took it easy if he wanted to take Juju down and take Juju completely out of this points race. He really could have done that. So props to Deegs. Obviously, they had some words after the night. We've seen it. We all know that he got arrested the week prior. But a good night for Deegan to kind of handle business, talk a lot of crap. That's what he's known to do, and kind of get back to where he needs to be, and extends that point lead on Juju. Fourth place, we did have Juju Beaumer. Juju looked good. I actually thought he could fight for the lead at some point. Couldn't get away from Garrett Marchbanks in second. Even after they had some battles, he ended up getting into third. And like I said, I thought he was going to be solid in third. And then he made a couple mistakes here and there, and Deegan really closed up on him quickly. But a solid night for Juju. We know that he's been injured. Unfortunate to lose some points to Deegan on the night, but a solid ride from him nonetheless. We know, as Deegan referenced, Juju is not great in the ruts, and this was a very ruddy, very soft track. So it was a very good job for Juju to finish up in fourth. Fifth place, Joe Shimoda. I thought Joe rode with a lot of heart on the night. It was really good for him to kind of battle with Deegan. We've seen this a few times. He doesn't battle with many people, but he does always give Deegan a hard time. But a solid night for him to finish up in fifth. The top of this pack really separated themselves. This was really, I mean, these guys got into lappers pretty quickly and pretty heavily, but good for this top five here, to ride their own race and have solid finishes. Sixth place, Michael Mosman. I think Michael Mosman went down at least once, but I think twice, if I'm not mistaken. I know he went down in his heat as well, finished ninth in the heat. But again, these guys had separated themselves so much from the rest of the pack at some point that he really had a good ride to finish up in sixth. Didn't see much of him on the night other than going down, but solid finish in sixth. Seventh place, Enzo Lopes. I think Enzo was solid all night. I really didn't see much of him, truthfully. Between Mosman and Cody Schock going down, I think Enzo just rode a solid race to finish up in seventh. So good for Enzo, a good bounce back. After kind of a rough year for him. Eighth place, Cody Schock. Man, Cody looked really good in fourth place. He was battling for third at some point with Juju and Marchbanks. Drop back. Deegan was pressuring him, but wasn't quite there yet when Cody made his own mistake. Went down pretty good and was down for a long time. I was actually very surprised at the end of this race when I saw the results that he had finished in eighth. Again, he was down for quite a while on top of that tough block. But again, he was riding really well. He won his heat race, his third heat race win of his career. But a really good night, but unfortunate to finish eighth when he realistically could have been a 4-5 guy with the way that he was riding. Ninth place, Cole Thompson. Solid ride from Cole Thompson. I think ninth is his best finish on the year. 10th place, Gavin Towers. It was really surprising for me to see this finish in 10th place by Gavin Towers. He's not been up there. We know the potential he has, and we think that he belongs in this top 10, but he just hasn't been there this year. So really good ride by Gavin Towers to finish 10th. 11th place, Lux Turner. Solid ride from Lux. We've seen better from him this year, but this is about probably where he belongs in this class. This is one of the nights where we kind of see that top 8 is kind of where they belong. No weirdo rides from anybody except for maybe Jordan Smith, who went down a number of times. So good ride in 11th. Speaking of Jordan Smith, 12th place. Could not stay off the ground all night. Heat race, main event. He was just all over the place. Unfortunately, got in through the LCQ after a solid ride, but really just could not string things together and kept finding himself on the ground in the main event. Unfortunate 12th. We know he did go down with Mosman, and he's riding with some broken ribs. He got hit with Mosman's bike in the rib, so it cannot have felt good. He's not at 100%, we know that, but much better rider than a 12th place, but again, just couldn't stay off the ground. 13th, Hunter Yoder. Didn't see much of Yoder in the main event. He rode really well in his heat race to finish up a solid 4th, but again, didn't see much of him, but a good 13th for him. He's had better finishes this year, but just a solid ride nonetheless. 14th, Parker Ross. I didn't see much of Ross in the night. Truthfully, did not see much of these 14 through 22 guys on the night with how much action we had going on at the front of the pack. 15th, Dylan Walsh. 16th, Avery Long. Solid ride for Avery. 17th, Derek Kelly. 18th, Stav Orland, a guy from Uganda, was killing the whoops all night. Looked really good. Had taken the lead in the LCQ at some point, dropped back to third, but did qualify and finish 18th. So solid finish for Stav Orland. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably his best finish ever in a main event. 19th, Brad West. 20th, Max Miller. 21st, TJ Albright. And then 22nd, Brandon Ray. Truthfully did not even know Brandon Ray was out there. I didn't look this far back in the pack, but solid ride for Brandon Ray. No injuries on the night in this class. Obviously, we are headed east next week, so we're taking a week off with this class. Hopefully guys like Jordan Smith get a week to heal up, and then we'll go into our second East-West showdown in Philadelphia the following week. As the points run right now, still can't close this thing out. Deegan has a 14-point lead on Juju, keeps gaining points week after week. But Cole Davies is now only down 20 points. Obviously a long shot here with only, I believe, 3 races left for these guys, 2 of those being East-West shootouts. But, I mean, with those 2 being East-West shootouts, if Cole Davies can ride the hot hand here and maybe get a couple wins, he could probably make things interesting here with his teammate Deegan. We've seen these two kind of goof off with each other. It looks like they're friendly, but we know with Deegan that doesn't stay too long once you start to to fight him for wins. So could see an interesting dynamic there. Don't expect to see these two racing on the same coast next year in what we assume to be Deegan's last 250 year. So really good riding there for Cole Davies, and again could make things interesting late. Switching over to the 450 class, I mean, what a race! This was awesome. Again, bringing buddies that don't really know Supercross to Supercross, and then having a race like this where they can really see what it's all about. I mean, man, what an unbelievable feeling! It was awesome, awesome, awesome to watch these guys fight up front. We were almost five deep at one point. We had four guys in one turn, with a fifth guy like entering as they were exiting. It was unbelievable. So a really great night of racing here in the 450 class. Yet again, Cooper Webb does Cooper Webb things. I don't know how many times I can say it this year, but a vintage Cooper Webb win. Wins by less than a second. Carbon copy of last year's race over those last few laps here. I mean, extends his points lead over Chase Sexton again. He had lost a lot of points last week, and he built it back up this week. So net gain for Sexton over the last 2 weeks is only 4 points. With only 6 races left, it's going to be tough to build over. If things keep trending this way, obviously we are heading east for 4 rounds, which we really know is Cooper Webb's forte. So things could get really interesting here late in the season. Second place, Chase Sexton. Sexton rode really good. He rode from behind. He ended up into the lead. He passed every guy up front. It was awesome to see him up there. As soon as he got up there, I'm like, man, he's running away. It didn't happen. Cooper Webb, Ken Roxon, and Jay Coop were on him. AP eventually found his way into the fold. But Chase Sexton just rode a really good race. As soon as he got passed by Cooper Webb, I was expecting to see him kind of get sendy. I thought he had the speed to do so, but he didn't have the aggression. I kept watching him lap after lap. I think there was 2 or 3 laps there where he could have gotten back by Webb before the finish, and he just did not have that aggression in his riding style. I could kind of see that he was laying up a bit. And then late on that last turn, obviously we saw him go all out. But Cooper Webb made a great move to block the inside there and not let Chase in. So again, a good second place finish for Chase Sexton, but Cooper Webb just really the star of the night. Third place, Aaron Plessinger. Had a rough start. He went wide, ran into Mookie and ran Mookie off the track, so he didn't get the whole shot that we're expecting of him. He did get the whole shot. Heat race and rode really well to win. He actually held off Sexton, but he showed kind of that speed in the main event, coming from behind. He sat in fifth for quite a while the top four fought with each other, and then eventually made his move forward. So a really good ride by AP. This is 4 podiums in the last 5 races, so really what we expected from AP. Really the resurgence late in the season. Fourth place, Ken Roxon. Man, it was awesome to see Kenny get in the lead to battle with Webb once again. We know he's injured and we know he's not at 100%. Didn't look great in the heat race, but into the main event, man, every time Kenny gets in the lead, things get electric. And unfortunately, he had Cooper Webb on his tail, right? He did get passed by Cooper Webb, and then Chase Sexton got by both of them into the lead. But Kenny looked really good. Unfortunately, he kind of lost the toe for a bit there, went backwards. He was actually in fifth for a while. Jay Coop went down in front of him. So solid fourth place finish from Roxon. Unfortunately, out of the points race, out of the championship hunt at this point. Maybe not technically, mathematically, but some crazy things would have to happen to Webb and Sexton here going forward. Fifth place, Dylan Ferrandis. Man, he rode really well in the night. He had a really good blitz line through the whoops. He actually made a really, really nice pass on Jay Coop on lap 1. And then he just kind of rode around in fifth for a while. AP eventually got him. And then obviously with Jay Coop going down, he kind of held that fifth place spot. But a really good ride from Dylan Ferrandis. Something we haven't seen much on the year, so good for him. Sixth place, Jay Coop. Man, Jay Coop was in third for a while, and I was really like, with Webb and Sexton battling, or excuse me, Webb and Roxon battling in front of him, I really had a feeling that Jay Coop was going to show the speed that he showed in the heat race and in qualifying, and kind of get a 2-for-1 and maybe run away with this thing. Unfortunately, didn't happen. But he was riding well in third place. Unfortunately, went down, but got up pretty quickly to rebound for sixth place. Seventh place, Malcolm Stewart, had to ride from behind. As I mentioned earlier, AP kind of bumped him on the start, and he had to go around the first turn, which kind of put him way behind everybody. So really good ride, showing the consistent speed that he's had in the last few weeks to get back to seventh. Eighth place, Justin Barcia. Barcia actually looked really good. I think he was riding behind Ferrandis for a while, and then had an unfortunate get off. It looked pretty big. I'm actually surprised to see him get back to eighth. Um, uh, Somebody next to me in the stands was talking about how much they like Bam Bam, and I look over, and as soon as they said that, he went down. But good for him to rebound for eighth place. Obviously, we want to see better from Barcia. We know he has the speed. We know he has the fitness, but eighth place about where he's been all year. In that 6 through 9 range. Ninth place, Benny Bloss. Great finish for Benny. Another top 10 for him. Solid ride. 10th place, Justin Hill. I didn't see much from Hill in the night. I think he went down in the heat race and the main event. I think that would explain his 10th place there, but didn't see much after that. 11th, Mitchell Oldenburg. I think Oldenburg had a big one as well in the main event. So solid for him to finish 11th. Again, same as the 250s, the lappers got really bad in this one. I think they lapped up pretty high in this. I think all these guys actually got lapped, but a pretty treacherous track here. These guys kind of fighting from behind. 12th place, Colt Nichols, solid finish for him after a rough Birmingham. 13th, Kyle Chisholm, really good finish for Chiz. He actually won the LCQ, was in third place on the last lap, and A-Rod and Grant Harlan kind of took each other out on accident there, and Chiz rode around to the win. So 13th, really good for Chiz. 14th, Shane McElrath. Didn't see much of Shane on the night. Expect to see a bit better from him. He's a top 12 guy in this class. 15th, Christian Craig. Heard he was really upset with his ride after a solid ride in Birmingham. 16th, Freddie Noren. Noren was fortunate to get in through that LCQ as well. Was kind of fighting for fourth position and ended up second after the A-Rod and Harlan crash. 17th, Jerry Robin. Jerry has been solid this year, making it in through most of the main events. 17th, not his best finish of the year, but a good ride nonetheless. 18th, Mitchell Harrison, just been a staple in these main events. 19th, Kevin Moranz. I've said it week after week, and I say this week after week, but really, really good for Kevin Moranz, just to get in every week, obviously in a depleted class here. 20th, Tristan Lane, really good ride. 21st, Justin Starling, kind of like Moranz. He's kind of put it in week after week, so really good for him. And then 22nd, Hunter Schlosser. Didn't see much of Schlosser on the night. Fortunate to get in fourth place through the LCQ. Was in sixth and was not going to qualify at all until the A-Rod Harlan incident, and then finished 22nd here in the main event. No real injuries on the night, though we did have plenty big crashes. Obviously, we were missing Jason Anderson, who pulled out of the main event after qualifying due to a family emergency. We look to see him come back soon here. And then announced today that HRC is going to bring on Dean Wilson as a fill-in for the Lawrence brothers in the next couple of weeks. So he won't race in Foxborough next week, but he'll be back on for the last 5 rounds of the season. As the points go, again, Cooper Webb has an 11-point lead over Chase Sexton. Had a 15, dropped down to 8, and back to 11. So pretty good for Webb to kind of hold this. And again, we're going east for 4 rounds, so we'll see what he's got there for Chase. Roxon's now 34 points down, so unfortunately, like I said, out of the championship contention unless something crazy happens here between Webb and Sexton, I would imagine. Again, that's it I've got for this week, but really good racing, awesome event in Seattle. Would love to go back in the future. Was really cool to see that stadium, especially compared to a Birmingham stadium that's a bit smaller. The Seattle stadium felt humongous the week after Birmingham, so yep. Thanks for listening. If you want to follow us on X, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify at Not Another Moto Pod. Thanks.